Hi, it's Sandy Parker and welcome to Crafting for Almost Everyone. Today we're going to find a ton of ways that you can use mica powders. I hope you'll stay tuned. So I don't even know the number of how many things that we're going to come up with, but I know it's a lot. I have a list and I'm going to keep adding to the list as I think of ideas. But anyway, I'm sorry it's taken me so long to make this video because I promised it a while ago and then I didn't do it. Let's talk about the first thing we're going to make with mica powders, and that is alcohol inks. Now, if you have any alcohol inks, this is a Tim Holtz alcohol ink palette. You let them dry in here, and then you use your alcohol ink to your alcohol refresher to wake them back up. So I'm going to just show you how to do this. You're going to use 91% alcohol. I hope I'm not too far back. I just have, this is, it's upside down. This is a palette, and I think you could do the same thing just by using like wax paper or something that would be along the lines of wax paper, but I bought this. It's called Paper Multi Palette, and it's by, I'm not even going to say it. You see who it's made by. But anyway, it's paper palettes basically. I'm putting a little bit or a lot of alcohol in one of these spots, and I thought I would make my alcohol ink with, it's called Lake Blue. It's this color. I'm going to move this up more. Hopefully I'm in frame, and I'm just going to put, hopefully not a pound. Okay, a pound of mica powder in there. And then I'm just going to stir it. So we've got it mixed up, and I've got some black paper here, and I thought we would just use paintbrush, and I'm going to use just one that I have on hand. I'm not using one of my paintbrushes from my Tim Holtz alcohol ink paint tool set. Okay, so here's this. We're gonna paint our alcohol ink on black paper, and because I can, I'm going to do it on white paper so that you can see. This is just regular cardstock. And there's, I think it's really pretty. So that is our first thing that you can do with mica powder. You're going to make your own alcohol inks. Now what you're going to do is you'll just let this, basically it will dry out just like my other ones did, and then you'll use your alcohol ink refresher and it'll make it usable again. Then the next thing we're going to make is we're going to make acrylic paint a couple different ways. You can make acrylic paint with these by using existing acrylic paint, which I have right here. So we're going to give this a whirl, and I'm going to do this right on my little paper palette here. So this is number 2. You're going to make your own acrylic paints, and I'm just going to pick another color. Not that color, it's black. I don't know if we necessarily want some black acrylic paint. I'm going to use a purple. I did want to tell you the name of my set of mica powders is, it's B-I-U-T-E-E, Beauty mica powders, and I bought them on Amazon, and when I bought the set it was $13.99, but it's $14.99 now, and there's a $2 off coupon, so it's actually cheaper than when I bought it. And you get 32, I'm pretty sure, 32 bottles. I need some more purple. You get 32 bottles of it, and they're, I think, I don't know how many grams. Let me see if I can read that on there. Of course I cannot. Maybe on this one. 5 ml is what you get. I think that's a decent amount. Considering you're getting 32 bottles, I think that's plenty. And as I said, I'm going to show you a couple ways to make acrylic paint with using your mica powder. I'm going to go a little bit darker because, you know, I want this to be frisky. You know what I'm saying? Frisky. For some reason, it just wants to stay in this lighter purpley color. Okay. So this is one way, again, to make acrylic paint. You're not really making acrylic paint with this system. You're basically just changing the color of it and making it into one that's glittery. There it is on white, and of course we want to make it on black. Ooh, there it is on black. It's pretty. It's not, you know, it's not a dark purple, but then I didn't choose a dark purple, so there you go. Now, a second way to make acrylic paint, and you'll have to use this system up, you have to use this paint up right away because it's going to dry out. So when you make this, you're only going to make a batch for whatever you're doing. And I'm going to use outdoor Mod Podge. I'm making a video on why I hate Mod Podge, outdoor Mod Podge, but I figured for this project I could use it. Okay, you're going to start with outdoor Mod Podge, and I'm hopefully not going to pour a ton out onto my paper palette. So number 3 is making acrylic paint out of Mod Podge. So I'm going to use a different color. I'm going to use this darker blue. And this is just going to be, the way you're going to make this is basically going to be by eyeballing how much you want to use in your project. When you are using this to make acrylic paint, you're going to want to start with a little bit of mica powder so that you don't have a really deep color if you don't want a really deep color. And then you're going to add more mica powder, excuse me, you're going to add more mica powder to get a darker look. So this is making acrylic paint out of Mod Podge and mica powder. That's on the white paper. Let's do it on the blue paper. And yours won't be this thick. The reason mine is that thick is because I use that outdoor Mod Podge that's not the greatest. I'm just using it as, this is just an experiment, so I don't want to use my good Mod Podge for this. And there it is on black. So that is number 3. Number 4, we're going to be making watercolors out of our mica powder. I'm getting my brush cleaned off while we're talking. Now I saw Lindsay the Frugal Crafter do the acrylic paint out of Mod Podge and also making her own watercolors. Now you're going to need gum arabic for this, and I have dry gum arabic and I haven't used it for a long time, so I have to one part of gum to 4 parts of pigment, and then add water to desired consistency. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to use number 4. We're making watercolor paint. Now this we can use, I have way too much of that obviously. This we can put into a little container. So I'm going to grab my little container and I'll be right back. I've already put the gum arabic and the mica powder together. And I'm not going to put a ton of water in this at first because I just want to be able to mix it. So the gum arabic is what is going to hold the mica powder onto our project. So when you're using this watercolor, if you didn't put the gum arabic with it, it wouldn't stick like paint. It would just basically fall back off your project. So you want your gum arabic in there to make sure that this turns into a watercolor. And once you've got this into some kind of pot, you're going to want to let it dry out. And once it's dry, then it's going to be able to act like a regular watercolor, and it'll rehydrate. I don't know if that's what you call it. It re-wets, and when it re-wets, then you use it like a regular watercolor. And I'm gonna let it set for a while because I didn't make a ton of it. I'll just let this set, and it will hopefully dry out a little bit while we're doing the other projects, because we have a lot more things to try. So this is number 4, making watercolor paints out of mica powders. Of course, it's going to be metallic watercolor. There it is on black, shimmery. And then I got to get my white paper. There it is on white paper. So that's number 4, making watercolor paint out of mica powder. The next thing we're going to make out of mica powder is texture paste. So we're going to make our texture paste out of, you can use white glue, or I'm just going to use Aleene's clear tacky glue. I'm going to be using this, I'm making enough of it that we'll be able to put it through our stencil, but I'm not going to be using a huge amount of it, at least at this juncture. That's not my plan. And I'm going to be putting some gold. That's how much I'm going to start with. I don't know if that's enough, but that's what we're starting with. And we're going to use our same little tool. You want this to be a thicker consistency, almost like a paste, because the mica powder is going to react with the glue, but you need it so that you can get it to kind of go through your stencil. I taped down my paper, and I'm just going to lay my stencil on it that's not sticky, that's not sticking to anything. So we're just going to hope that we don't have a lot of this paste go under the stencil. We're just going to practice it for now. And you can make a lot of this, but it's not going to last a long time. I mean, it'll last a while, but it's not going to last indefinitely. But it's a lot cheaper to make than it is to buy, because I'm sure for those of you who craft, you know how much it costs to buy this stuff. You're going to definitely want to wash off your stencil as soon as you're done with this, because if you don't, it's going to be, it's glue, so it's going to be adhered to your stencil. This paste is going to be adhered to your stencil. Okay, we ready? Drum roll. There you have it. It looks like $1,000,000. I'm going to turn it so you can see it's raised just like you would want it to be. It's fabulous. I'm a happy girl. I'm going to put that off to the side. That is project number 5. Next up is metallic ink we're going to make. And a lot of us have these small ink pads that we got in sets from Michael's that were very inexpensive. Last year after Christmas, I got this jar of them, and there's a ton of colors in here. And so I just thought I would use one of my re-inkers I already have, but I'm going to first use it without any re-inker, because you can, if this is juicy enough, you can make your own, metallic ink just by adding some of your mica powder directly to your pad. As I said, it needs to be a little bit wet, and If you don't have a wet ink pad and you don't have re-inker, you can make your own addition. I'm just wet and I'm just kind of patting this on here. You can make your own addition by using some glycerin and water, or I'll just use this because I have it. I found this. This is Ink Refresher by Ranger, and basically what it is just, I'll tell you, it's just, doesn't even have the ingredients on it. Basically, it's just water and glycerin. So I'm gonna spray this onto my pad because obviously my pad is not super wet. So I just, I'm gonna smash my ink into my pad. Oh, I forgot to tell you that this little cover is coming off of mine, so I'm just gonna take it off. I don't really need it. So the first thing we're gonna do with it is I'm just going to take my ink pad and I'm just going to smash it down like that. It's super wet right now, so it's not going to be as effective as it will be later. And then I'm going to take a stamp. Okay, I'm going to lay that aside. Hopefully you can see the glitter in it. I can see the glitter in it. It's common for people to use baby wipes to make their own ink pads. And basically what you do is you take more than one. I'm only going to use one because we're not going to make much of a mess here, hopefully. And we're just going to use this. It's just a piece of plastic packaging. I'm going to put the lid back on this one. And what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to see if there's another green that matches this better. I should have a green that matches it better. I mean, I only have 32 colors. I don't know if you saw the video where I made a little mark. I put a circle label on top of each one of these, and then I used it to wipe. I wiped some of the mica powder on that so you'd be able to see what color it is. But I didn't spray the hairspray on it that I said I was going to do. And that would have made it so that I'd be able to set it. But I didn't do that, so it's kind of worn off. So I'm just going to use, this is Sage Shadow. It's an old Stampin' Up! Re-inker. And I'm just going to put a few drops just in the center there. And then we're going to take some of our mica powder. This time I'm using apple green. You don't need a ton of it, but you want enough that it's going to work with the re-inker enough to make it glittery. What I'm going to do is get my stamp again. What do I do with it? There it is. Jeez, oh man. And I'm just going to ink up my stamp. And I'm going to ink it on. Stamp it on this. Nice. I'm going to turn it so you can see how glittery it is. This is textured paper. Let me flip it over because the other side isn't as textured. Hopefully I'll be able to get a better impression. Okay, can you see the glitter in that one? And there it is on this. So, I know you can see it on this one. So this, I'll get this out of the way. So this is using an ink pad that already has ink in it and just putting some of the mica powder on the top and smashing it in and adding a little bit of ink refresher, or you could add glycerin and water. It would do the same thing, just to give it enough water or wetness to press it into the ink pad. And then this is just using a baby wipe and some re-inker and the mica powder, and look at the glitter on both of those. I think these are really fun. Hopefully you do too. On to our next project. This time I'm going to use this ginkgo stencil, and I'm using some old Deco Art modeling paste. It's just some white modeling paste. And we'll just rip off this piece. So here is our modeling paste. And this time I'm going to use a little bit of modeling paste. So this is our modeling paste we're going to use. And I'm going to use this same apple green because I'm not really crazy about this color, so I figured if I use it up I won't feel sad. So I've mixed my modeling paste up with my mica powder, and I had some issues with my modeling paste because it was kind of old, so it was globby. Yeah, that's a word, in case you didn't think so. And I'm going to try and hold down my stencil and just make sure that we get a nice finish with our modeling paste. Now we might not, because as I said, it was globby to begin with, and I didn't tape it down or spray anything on the back of it. Ooh, that could be bad right there. But the bottom line is we're hoping that this doesn't look too bad when we're done. There we have it. That would be modeling paste with mica in it, and it will be shiny, but right now it's wet, so wet, you know, supersedes shiny. Okay, I'm going to set this off to the side to dry, and the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make glitter spray ink. Now I make my spray inks with alcohol, and I have a video where I showed how I did this, but basically what you do is you take an old Sharpie and you take the inside out of it. It's a felt piece, but I'll link that video right here so you get the gist of how you make the original spray. And I use alcohol instead of water because I think when you, and I low grade like 70%, whatever the cheapest alcohol you can get is, that's what I use for this. And I like it better than water. I don't know why, but for some reason I do. And I've had this bottle for several years, and it still hasn't dried out, which usually alcohol does tend to evaporate. So I'm going to use this color, and it is light blue, and I'm going to put it in my bottle. I'm not going to put my sprayer back on the bottle yet, because if you put the sprayer on, you're going to have that tube is going to possibly get clogged with the mica powder. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm just going to put a towel over the top like this, and I'm going to shake it and put my finger over it. I just don't want this to fly everywhere. And let's see if I got it mixed in. Yep, it looks nice and mixed in. Once you've done this, where you've put the mica powder in, every time you use this, you're going to want to shake it. And when I say shake it, I don't mean shake it up and down. I mean shake it like a bell, like this. Because if you shake it up and down, you're going to get your little tube clogged, and you don't want that. So shake it like a bell so that you end up having your powder get intermingled with everything else. I'm just making sure that it's good and combined. I'm going to spray a few times just to get it started, and I'm just going to use my scrap paper here. Hopefully I'm spraying a lot of it because I want you to be able to see the sparkle. I'm going to do it on the back of a black piece of paper too, because I think you'll be able to see it better on black. Yeah, you definitely can see the shine better on black. Hold on while I try to get it to sink into the paper a little bit. Hopefully you can see the glitter right there. Can you see that glitter? It's still wet and not sinking into the paper yet. Hold on, it's got to sink in a little bit. But there's definitely, the glitter is there. Of course, I'll show you all this again at the end. It's harder to see on this white paper because this is watercolor paper, but it's definitely sparkly. I'm going to let it dry so that you can see it a little bit later on. Dry it down. There you can see, you see that shine on my finger? Hold on. We'll get it all over my finger so you can see it. I can definitely see it on this. I'm going to spray it a few more times on the white. I don't know if maybe the spray hadn't absorbed the mica yet. Okay, hopefully we're going to find out where it is. I can see it on the black, that's for sure. Hopefully you can too. And then on the white, well, we'll wait and see on that. I think you should be able to see it at some point, but we'll go after that. Now, number 10 on our hit parade. We've made our glitter spray. Next, we're going to make a tape that looks like glitter. And so let's say you're making a card and you have tear tape and you put your tear tape on your card. I'm going to have to get another piece of scrap paper under here. So you put your tear tape on your card and you took the backing paper off of it. So it's ready to go. And then you take, I'm going to go with this fun purple. And I'm just going to put a little bit like that. And then you're going to get a paint brush or a brush of some kind. I've got to find a little brush. I got brushes, but all the brushes I see are big brushes. There's one. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to use this purple. And after we're done, we can put the purple excess back in our jar. Kind of like embossing powder. So then here's our second line. Let's say that you decided that you wanted to have a different color, maybe a silver, or I don't know if this will work with having that purple on that brush. Let's see if we can go with this white. And again, I'm only going to try and tap a little bit here and there. Get the rest to go into my little bottle. Okay, then all we're going to do is wipe on either side of it with our little scrap cloth. And there you have it, how to turn double-sided tape into glittery, pretty stripes. I think that was number 10 or 11. I don't know. You guys keep track for me, will you? So our next project is from Clarity Stamps. I saw this in a video and I thought it was really fun and I thought we should try it. And it was using mica powders. You're going to use some baby powder on your cardstock, and I'll probably get to go everywhere. You want to make sure your baby powder completely covers your cardstock. I'm just going to use a brush, and I'm going to do it over a garbage can. You got the idea of it. You want to make sure that you brush off any excess. Then you're going to take embossing ink, and most people use Versamark. I'm going to be using Brutus Monroe because I have it right here. Make sure your stamp is well inked. Okay, then you're going to take your paper and you're going to put the paper flipped over. I already practiced once and failed, so I want to make sure I do it right the second time. And you're going to rub the back of it, or you're going to rub the back of the paper to make sure that you get a good image, holding it the whole time you rub. Then we're going to choose the mica powders we're going to use. I think I'm going to use, this one is copper gold. We'll try that one. We're going to do a little bit of the copper gold, and then you're going to use a small brush, and you're going to brush over everything that you want to have the copper gold on it. And in my case, I think I'm going to do everything but the flower in copper gold. And you just want to gently brush over everything. And then I'm going to tap this off in my garbage can. Then what they did was they wiped their card stock with just a paper towel. I think it was maybe even a baby wipe. I'm going to use a baby wipe that's dry. And then they just wiped it. And theirs all came clean from their, from the, with the image. And I'm not sure why mine isn't, but I'll still show you the technique in case you like the idea of the distressed underlying part. I'm going to put a little bit of the purple. Okay. Like I said, I'm not sure why mine isn't doing what hers did, because by using the baby powder, she was able to wipe all of the excess off. The what I have turning gray here. I'm not sure why mine didn't work, but clearly hers worked better than mine. I will try and link her video below, so in case you want to watch that and see how she did it, to see if it differed from the way I did it. The next technique, I think this is 11 or 12, is going to be using it with an embossing folder. So on this one, all I did was I put the embossing powder or embossing ink on it after I pulled it out of the embossing folder. I found I had better results doing it that way. I think it looks really fun, and like when you're looking to make a card and you want a really fun background, I think this is the answer. It's really interesting, and I just used several different colors of embossing, of mica powder, and it was just using, I put the embossing ink, I just basically tapped like this across to make sure that I didn't get deep down into the crevices, and in the end I think it turned out pretty fun. So on to our next project. We are going to mix our clear embossing powder. We're just going to use regular Versamark ink. So I stamped it, and then I put my powder on there, that combination of the pink with the clear embossing powder. And I'll turn those so you can see them really good. See how fun those are? I think those are lots of fun and so simple to do. Don't mix that powder in with your other powders, or you'll contaminate them, but you can use the powder over and over if you put it in its own bowl. So make sure that if you do that, you have a special bowl for your mica powder. Next up, we're going to color gesso. Now I make my own homemade gesso, and it is 1/4 cup plaster of Paris, 1/4 cup of water, 1/2 cup of white paint. That would be like white acrylic paint that you'd buy, craft paint, and 1/4 cup of white glue. And it can't be school glue. It has to be like glue all. It can't be, the kids' glue. So I already have it in this little container here, and I'm going to use some satin wine red, and I'm going to use a pretty good amount because the only way we're going to be able to see this in this gesso is if we put quite a bit in. This is my book that my friend Elizabeth gave me, and I'm gonna, I already did try to use watercolors on it, and the watercolor just seeped through. So that was a bummer, because I thought this might be watercolor paper, but it wasn't. Bummer, I know. So what we're going to do is we're just going to gesso this page, and then we can use it for something else. And since it's pink, and it should be sparkly when it's dry. Okay, so we'll let that sit, and so that will be our gesso out of mica powder. You can use this for candles to color your candles. You can use it in soaps to color your soaps. I didn't go into that because I figured that you would already have those ideas. You can use it with multi-matte medium. First thing you want to do is you want to make sure that you use a lot of embossing powder or ink, not powder, ink, on your stamp, and make sure it's nice and sticky. You're gonna just kind of put a gob of it like an ink. Okay, hopefully you got that. Then you're gonna stamp your stamp into it and make sure that you did a nice job of getting it glued up. Okay, then we're going to, I'm trying to find another piece of cardstock that, oh, here it is, that we haven't played with yet. And you're going to stamp your image, hold it there long enough for the ink to transfer, not the ink, the glue, the matte medium to transfer, and then pick it up like that. You're going to want to clean this off very quickly. So then it's already nice and inked up. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get our brush, and we're just going to kind of tap it down onto our stamped image. I got a little bit too much on there of the glue, but you got the idea of how you do that with multi-matte medium. It's a glue that you're basically stamping into. So there is that one. And finally, I'm going to show you a nice way to make pearls that you're going to put onto your projects. You're going to squeeze out just enough to make a round dollop, and then you're going to, whoops, I screwed that one up. Then you're going to twirl around it. Okay, I'll just show you that many for now. We're just going to sit them there and let them kind of just sit. Are you with me? We're just sitting them. Then I'm going to do one more fun thing. I'm sure that you're aware that right now the big thing is using wax and making a seal on the back of envelopes. Well, if you've always wanted to do that but you didn't want to buy all of the supplies, I'm going to show you a way to do it so that you can make it but not have any money invested really in it. So you're going to take that same embossing ink we had before. We want to make sure that our stamp is nice and inked. And then what we're going to do is we're going to make quite a big, well, I guess we'll call it pile of glue. I'm not sure. I really, really hate this string of glue. I'll show it to you in a second. I have what we'll call a string, but it's it was like a yard of glue. It's when you buy this big long thing. Don't buy these. They're a pain in the butt, and I'm having a heck of a time getting my my project to work with, or my glue gun to work, because it doesn't seem to want to stick in anything. Okay, let's see how my beads are doing. They're pretty good. So I'm going to show you how you make your little pearls. So you're going to take your, I'm I'm using my pink, and I'm just going to really well coat. Ooh, hopefully you're seeing this. You really want to make sure you coat these well. I'm only coating the ones that don't look wonky. I got some weird ones here. And use up all the excess you have, because, you know, if there's some on the sides of your other pearls, use them up. And then I'll pull these off of this backing in a second so you can see what they look like outside of the black backing, because when you use that black, sometimes it's hard to see what they really look like. Okay, so I'm going to pull these off and I'll put them on my finger so you can see what they look like. If you spend a lot of money on these little pearls, this is probably the thing, of all the things I've shown you, this is probably the most useful of the things I've shown you, because when you buy embellishments like this, you know how much expensive they can be. And when you do a good job of brushing this on, it doesn't usually come off. There they are. Aren't they cute? Okay, so, and what I do with these is I just put them in a baggie by color, and then you're good to go. I'm trying to let this set up a little bit because I wanted to make sure that it was something that I could put this into. And I'm just going to push this down into that glue. And I'm going to let it sit there. I don't think I got the edge on this side. That is a bummer. Well, you'll just understand what we're doing when I'm done. So basically what we're going to do with this is we're going to make it into a transportable seal for on an envelope, because once you're done with this, what you're going to do is you'll peel this off of this backing. I forgot to tell you, this is a craft mat, and once you're done with it, you can just peel these off and clean it off and put it away. But it works really well for this kind of project, because you'll be able to have your stamped image set up, and then you'll be able to put it into what you want, put it onto whatever you want to put it on. So I'm assuming, let's say you're going to put it on the back of an envelope. This is bigger than you normally would do, but because we're doing a video, I want it to be big enough that you could see it. And you need to wait until your glue is hard, and when it's hard, this should come off like that. Oh, I'm bummed I didn't get the whole thing because it's pretty cool looking. Then what you're going to do is you're going to get your brush, and I'm using, in this case, brown green, that I think doesn't look like brown or green. It looks more like copper, so we're calling it copper for the sake of the video. And you know how when you have your stamped image that you did your wax seal on, how it looks a lot like this. Sorry, I didn't wait for it to dry long enough. I got a little bubble there. Oh, the other thing that you can do with resin, I'm sure if you work with epoxy, you already know this, but resin works really, really great. Epoxy, resin, whatever, works really, really great with mica powder. I think it's probably good enough. It feels cool. Okay, let me wipe it off. This is the one project that if you've always wanted to do the seal on the back of your envelopes, this is the one that really is cool and looks like a seal from an envelope. If you have peg stamps work really great for things like this. In fact, I have this little ice cream cone. I'll show you how something like this works. And you don't need your glue to be super thick. That's the other thing I wanted to tell you, is I made my glue a lot thicker than I needed it to be. But when you're doing something like this, it's very small, and I think that it would work better for on seals on envelopes than something as big as this, because obviously that's a pretty big seal to have on the back of an envelope. But on the other hand, it is really cool, isn't it? Hopefully you can see how glittery it is and how embossed it is. You can see every single line of that stamp, which is fun. But of course I didn't get enough glue on that side, so that was a bummer. Let's see how we're doing for our glue. I think it's probably good enough. So what you're going to do again is you're just going to take it and you're going to stamp it in there. And then you're just going to let it set. Remember, you wanted to put embossing ink on this before you do it. Otherwise, it will adhere to the glue, and you don't want that to happen. I think I'm going to do something fun on this one. Maybe a purple. I think this would be really, really fun to have on kids' invitation to their birthday parties. I mean, this would be so inexpensive to do. And how you would adhere it to an envelope is you would just add some glue to the back of it. That's it. And I would do wet glue, and I would make sure before you mail it, if you do mail it, that it's really well adhered so it doesn't come off in the mail. And I'd probably say something like hand stamp or something so that the postal people don't run it through a machine and end up having it get stuck. Oh, that is just so darn cute. Tell me that's not the cutest thing you ever saw. Anyway, so those are some of the many uses for mica powders. And if you didn't want to invest the $12.99, what is it? I think it's $14.99 minus $2. Yeah, it's $12.99 now. If you didn't want to invest that $12.99 to get 32 bottles, you could just spend $1 at the Dollar Tree and buy their LA Colors eyeshadow pots. They're about this tall, and I tried to get a photo of it so I'd have it for the video, but I could not find a photo of it on their website. I apologize for that, because I know that would have been very helpful. But if you do buy that pot, I recommend that you use, well, I'll link Lindsay's video where she shows you how to pop the bottom out of that, because there's a lot of product in them, but you have to take the bottom off to get the product out. So there are some of our projects. This is when we used it with texture paste. There is our seals. Here are our pearls. Put the pearls over there. Here is where we used it with embossing powder to make our own embossing powder color. Here is when we used it to color an image. I did it on both sides. A little bit different look. This is the better of the two, I think. This is from Clarity Stamps, where they taught me that technique. Then here are some of our first techniques, making acrylic paint with just using white acrylic paint and coloring it, and also using it with Mod Podge. Then I think this is when we did something, I don't know what those were. I'm sorry, I forgot already. But here are some more things we did. This is using it for with white glue or with tacky glue to make its own stencil paste. And then this is using it on double-sided tape. And then this is creating your own glittery spray. I have that on something else. Right here, you can see the glitter better on this now that it's dry. And then this is when we used it on an ink pad, and this is when we used it with making our own re-inker, our re-inker and napkin, or no, baby wipe. So I hope that you got some ideas of ways to use yours. Oh, we also made gesso. I hope you got some ideas on how to use your mica powders in new and different ways, and that you give this a thumbs up and subscribe, and please tell your friends about me on social media because you know I love that. And thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.